And we're back, y'all. Thank you for watching today. Go ahead and hit that like button, my people. You know that it helps us out a ton. And of course, it helps you because it helps us keep bringing you these stories every day. Now, y'all, I don't think we've talked about your girl, Jasmine Crockett, in quite some time. How have we not talked about her? Where has she been? Even now, she's front and center and prominent in the news, not because of something she's done recently, but because Stephen A. Smith has brought her up. Now, y'all, this is a good one. Everybody has talked about it. I debated. I said, do I even want to jump in this that's out there talking about this topic because people are in their feelings, they're in their emotions. But then I'm like, let's do it. Let's do it. So, y'all, I'm going to try to give a unique take on this whole Jasmine Crockett thing. But it's bigger than Crockett, y'all. It's bigger than Crockett. It's much bigger than Crockett. Because this has turned into a microcosm. Y'all like my vocabulary? This has turned into a microcosm of the entire political debate in the United States these days. And I'm going to give y'all 3 logical fallacies. Okay, you're like, oh, here we go, logical Yes, I want you to be able to point these out because people, when they're talking, even educated people, they routinely talk in logical fallacies. Maybe they just haven't learned not to do it, or maybe they know that the general person listening does the same thing so they can trick you. I don't know what it is, but I'm going to point them out today. And I'm going to give you my take on not only this dialogue, but on Stephen A. Smith and Crockett, okay? So first off, y'all, let's listen to Stephen A. Smith's first comments about Jasmine Crockett. But before we do, y'all, we have a new webpage for my people out there who are like, yo, I have money, but I don't want to give it away to the people who are trying to take it. How can I protect my retirement? Y'all, gold. How many times do I have to tell you? Gold has been man's longest monetary best friend for 5,000 years. I mean, what else are you looking for? Go to our webpage. Go to the new webpage, Paralegold, PARALEGOLD.com. Get the information on how to protect your retirement. And you can call 844-651-8334 and speak to our partners at Augusta Precious Metals. Now let's go ahead and hop into this content.
You Jasmine Crockett or somebody like that. Ladies, I respect intelligent women, no doubt. But how a Jasmine Crockett chooses to express herself, I'm like, is that gonna help your district, Texas? Aren't you there to find a way to get stuff done as opposed to just being an impediment to what Trump wants? I'm just gonna go off about Trump, cuss him out every chance I get, say the most derogatory, incendiary things imaginable, and that's my day's work. That ain't work. Work is saying that's the man in power. I know what his agenda is. I'm not exactly in a position to stop him since the Republicans have the Senate and the House. But maybe if I'm willing to work with this man, I might get something out of it for my constituents. She's supposed to be there to represent the people of Texas.
Okay, so there Stephen A. Smith says, look, Donald Trump is your impediment to getting something done. You can work with him and try to get things done for your district, or you can work against him and just say, to heck with the district. It feels much better criticizing the president, right? That's basically Stephen A. Smith's point. I agree with that, okay? I'm just going to say it. I totally agree with that. Now, people call it bootlicking. They call it cooning. They call it, what are all the other words? I don't care what it is. If I elect you, you are my servant. You are to serve me and my interests. And my interests are betterment for my family. My interests are better schools, better roads, better health care, etc. So on some level, Jasmine Crockett is fighting for those things. On some level. Is she doing the best job? Would she be doing a better job if she tried to work with the president, if she stopped calling him a baby Hitler or whatever the terms are? Would she be doing a better job? Well, I don't know, frankly. I don't know if it would be better for her district. So I only agree with Stephen A. Smith in as much as he is postulating that it seems like it would be better. It does seem like it would be better. I don't care what you call it. I don't care. Okay, yes, I elected you to go and humble yourself before the people who can bring home the bacon for us. Yes, that's what I elected you to do. I didn't elect you to go fight the people who can bring home the bacon for us and then come home with no bacon. I elected you to do whatever you have to do to bring home the bacon. If the bacon's coming home, bring it home however you want. If the bacon is not coming home, you better try something else. So from that perspective, I agree with Stephen A. Smith. But he got a lot of backlash on those comments. Then you're going to notice from the next clip, he's going to say something that's not quite the same. So the next clip comes from a future. He said those comments. He got backlash. And now the next clip comes from what he said later, days later. Let's take a listen to this.
What I was saying was this educated, brilliant black woman representing over 750,000 people is engaging in verbiage and rhetoric for the streets. And that's fine when you in the streets. How many of y'all bring the streets to the table when you at the negotiating table trying to get a deal done? How many of you are able to think that for a second that you're able to bring street verbiage to Capitol Hill and that's gonna work for you? You literally have senators and congressional figures on Capitol Hill on the side of the Republicans telling the networks, whether it's Fox News, News Nation, or anybody else, please, please, please put her front and center on camera. Why would they do that? Because they know it wins for them.
Now, if you notice, those are two different points. One point is be humble and get for your constituents what they need. If there's a person with a lot of power and that person is a disagreeable person, well, yeah, you need to go and figure out a way to work with that person. It's not about your pride. It's not about, all it's about is getting for your constituents what they need. Now, if the argument is, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter how humble you are. It doesn't matter what you do. That person will never work with you. That's a different argument. I mean, we don't know the future. We don't know what a person would do, but we do know that you should try. I mean, at least that's my perspective. But with this next set of comments, Stephen A. Smith actually changed a bit. And he's not talking about go out there and try to work with the people who can help your constituents. I'm not saying he didn't mention that at all. But with this comment we just listened to, it's how you talk and how you present yourself. That's a little bit different. We've all noticed that Jasmine Crockett gets ratchet with how she talks. We've all noticed it. I've commented on it. I think it's funny. I don't think it's effective at all, but people like it, so whatever. They like what they like. But it's not the same conversation as working with somebody who you find disagreeable, who you find to be even opposed to you, with trying to work with that person. So those are two different conversations. One is her dialect, her enunciation, her choice of words, her grammar. That's one thing. The other thing is trying to work with somebody who you find to be disagreeable. Okay. And I do think you should try to work with the people you find to be disagreeable. I don't necessarily think you have to use any particular kind of dialect. Okay. If she talks like that, if that's how she wants to talk, she sounds ridiculous to me, but hey, that's her decision. People should still work with her as the chosen representative. Now, would she be more effective with a more traditionally proper? She knows how to talk properly, right? So would she be more effective? I don't know. Again, I don't know. But she does make herself sound quite clownish quite often, in my opinion. Now, there have been various people commenting on this controversy, one of which is Bakari Sellers. Now, I don't know a lot about him. I'm just going to play his comments. I'm going to let you listen to his comments. He gives us an opportunity to dive into two logical fallacies that he makes here. Now, I did not watch this entire podcast, so I'm not gonna represent this as all he said. Okay, I got this from the Breakfast Club. This is what they showed me. I'm not about to watch the whole podcast. You go check it out if you want to hear his entire comments in context. So I'm just gonna say one logical fallacy that seems to be happening here, but I didn't see the whole context, seems to be ad hominem, where you point out the people and you try to attack the person as opposed to attacking their ideas or their propositions or what they're saying, okay? So you say, well, hold up. Didn't you cheat on your wife? So somebody says to you, hey, man, you shouldn't park there. That's not the right parking spot. And you say, oh, so says the wife cheater. It's like, okay, does that mean that that's a good parking spot because you called me? You know what I mean? That's ad hominem. Another logical fallacy that it seems like Mr. Sellers is making here is the No True Scotsman fallacy, y'all. Okay. It's when you redefine a category to exclude counterexamples. That's what you're going to notice Bakari Sellers do here today. That's what people do so often whenever they have a movement. They do it with Christianity. Oh, no true Christian would do that. They do it with, well, Bakari Sellers going to do it here. You're going to see a prime example of that. No true freedom fighter would ever say those things. No person who's for the cause would ever have that opinion. It's just the No True Scotsman fallacy.
There is a through line between the Ice Cubes and the Jason Whitlocks and the Stephen A. Smiths. These individuals have been around since we have been on this freedom struggle. There have always been individuals out there which exhibit behaviors of charlatans who utilize, some people are in it for the change and some people are in it for the change, right? And I think that that's indicative. And they find the easiest path to the front of the line. And Stephen A. Smith is someone who doesn't have the depth to talk about House oversight or the appropriations process, right? And how you're able to bring resources back to your community or what Jasmine is doing. So he rather lampoon her.
And now we'll go to Charlamagne the God. Charlamagne the God, okay? He's going to give you a prime example of whataboutism, okay? This is whataboutism. Y'all have heard me talk about this before. See, the claim is, hey, Jasmine Crockett, she shouldn't talk like that. She shouldn't express herself like that. And then he says, well, what about Trump? Doesn't Trump do that? Okay, this is what about it. Just because one person can do something successfully doesn't mean that everybody can do that. It doesn't even mean anybody else can successfully do the same thing. Okay, now we could define what success means, but just because one person can do it, just because one person can do it, just because one person is allowed to do it, doesn't mean that everybody can do it. Doesn't mean it will work equally well for everybody. This is something that we all should learn as kids, right?
As far as what he said about Jasmine Crockett, and me and Stephen A. spoke about this behind the scenes this week, but I don't think any elected official is above critique, but you got to criticize their policy. And it seems like Stephen A. is criticizing her style. And if you are criticizing her style and telling her she needs to change her style to be able to get things done, but also telling her to do that, to get things done with one of the most uncouth political figures ever in Donald Trump, then I got to say that, you bugging. All right. Trump talks crazy.
And here we have another example of whataboutism from D.L. Hughley. He's going to say, hey, Stephen A., you're saying that to Jasmine, but what about Trump? Whenever you hear what about, or if you can easily insert a what about him, what about her, what about this, what about that, you got whataboutism. It's a logical fallacy. Just because somebody criticizes one person doesn't mean they have to criticize anybody else. They can live their entire life only criticizing one person. You have to judge the criticism for the merits of the criticism, not based on how many people who might be susceptible to the same criticism that person criticizes. If y'all are following me, then you're a high level, you're a high functioning person. Okay. So another example of whataboutism.
It's interesting that he chose Jasmine Crockett. Now, she doesn't serve in any leadership position. She's in the minority party. I wonder why he didn't single out, for instance, the president of the United States. And is he serving his constituents, the people that voted for him, by, attacking a comedian and maligning the comedian, or maligning the opposition, the Democratic Party, or rambling in front of generals and the Navy? How is his constituents served? Does he serve his constituents like Mike Johnson, who constantly calls recesses so he won't have to deal of the matters of Congress? Or Jim Jordan, who's been in Congress for 18 years and never has written one piece of legislation in 18 years. I wonder why it isn't those people that he singled out. We're never going to argue about the efficacy of Congress. I think we have an agreement there. I think that they are not effective. I think that they don't do the job.
That's like people's favorite thing to do. What about Trump? Okay. And now we're going to give you the most low-key comment that makes, in my opinion, the most sense of everything I've heard anybody say about this topic. And that comes from good old DJ Envy. He just said, well, how do her constituents feel about this? Because that's the primary argument of Stephen A. Smith. Hey, you're supposed to be getting the bacon for your people. Well, if the people feel like their plates are filled with bacon from Jasmine Crockett, then case closed, right? I mean, if they're happy with the job she's doing, then case closed.
When you're talking about policy, it should be somebody from her district that has that problem. Somebody that is affected by the things that she's doing. And if her district doesn't have a problem with it and her district loves it, that means she's doing the job that they voted for her to do.
Yeah.
So my take on this whole thing is, I get where Stephen A. Smith is coming from with his comments about working with power, working with people who are disagreeable, working with the opposition in order to bring home the bacon for your people. I get it, and I agree. The way she expresses herself, I find it funny. I find it buffoonish sometimes, but hey, if that's what she wants to do, that's on her. I don't care. I mean, I'll laugh at it, because I find it funny. But maybe she's doing it to be funny. Maybe she's doing it to be attention grabbing. We're talking about her and not other people, right? So it works. And I outright reject the No True Scotsman fallacy. The whole, oh, well, if you were really down with this, you wouldn't do that. I reject it. The whataboutism, oh, well, why don't you talk about reject it? Oh, well, such and such does that. Reject it. And the only real legitimate, in my opinion, the only real legitimate retort or response that I've heard is, well, how do her constituents feel about that? Right? If they like it, then they like it. Okay, that's all that matters. You can vote for who you like, and her people can vote for her if they like her. So that's my conclusion on all of this. Everything else is just noise. I mean, if her people like what she's doing for them, then that's good enough. That's how I look at it. Y'all let me know what you think about this down in the comments. Drop a comment below, but before you do, please stop, hit the share button, share this video out over email, text message, WhatsApp, Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, all of your favorite social mediums. And of course, if you're not a subscriber, please do subscribe. To my people in retirement, y'all go click the first link down in the description, Paralegold, PARALEGOLD.com. Get the information on protecting your retirement from the upsies, downsies, the roundsies, and the roundsies. And you can reach out to our partners at Augusta Precious Metals at 844-651-8334. Thank y'all for watching. Love y'all, and we'll see you back in the next one.